Yes. Good morning. Let me have a check if everything is working. Yes, it seems it is. Let me look it from here because I can't see your comments from where I am. Oh, here it is. Okay. I wanted to turn up the volume, but it's useless because you cannot speak. You can, but I will not hear you. So, yes, here we are. Good morning. Good morning, lovely community. Good morning, amazing. I hope you're doing fine. I hope this summer was okay or nice or beautiful or whatever it was for you. For me, it's been nice and relaxed. No international travelings as I used to. This year I was just beautiful Italy, but it was really, really lovely. So today we will be speaking about holidays. I posted a poll at the beginning of the week. You voted for some vocabulary, so it would be a lesson about vocabulary. Yes, holidays. Holidays for most of us are over, unfortunately. But I think it could still be useful to have. I thought this lesson as a kind of a way to help you. Oh, here it is, Federica Forchetta. Hello, Federica. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're fine. Yes, lovely to start seeing people over here. I forgot. Whenever, if you have questions, just feel free to type them either now, and I can answer right away. Or if you're watching this video afterwards, because on Saturday morning you were busy, we all tend to have an awful amount of things to do in the weekends. Basically, all the social life we don't get to have during the week. So if you wear it online in the same moment as I'm speaking, if you're watching this video afterwards, feel free just to type your questions, and then I will get back to you later on as soon as I connect to Facebook, which I do at least once a day. So so we'll wait a couple of more minutes just to see who else jumps on board. But yes, as I mentioned, we will be speaking about holidays, and what I want to give you is a set of vocabulary inputs that can be helpful when you find yourself traveling. Okay. It will be yes, holidays. We will speak a general English, but as you might have noticed, this year the focus will be the USA. So to begin with, in the USA, they say also vacation to say holiday. Okay, a British person or an Australian or whatever you may want to put in there will understand vacation, but normally they tend to use holiday. Holiday is quite the standard words to say it. And yes, if you follow my official profile, Novella Benedetti Lezione in Inglese, you might have seen a picture of me with this book, The Great Book of American Idiom. So on Wednesday, you will find a post by me, #AmericanIdiom, and we will see the most curious ones I found in this 200 pages book. I had to read it twice, actually. It was 200 pages of, yes, money talks, my bad, my hands are tied, lots of idioms in alphabetical order, but yes, I managed to find the funniest one, and we will be seeing them together on Wednesdays. And also to better understand the US, I spent the summer studying, if you want to better understand the USA, because I think it's a country we tend to think we know a lot about, but not necessarily. There are lots of things that we don't know about it. I suggest this book by Francesco Costa, Questa è l'America. I find it quite useful. I also wanted to go and see him live. Sometimes he organizes some events in other cities. We will see. if and when he comes to Trento. Or maybe I could invite him, I don't know. If anybody is from the communities from Trento, let me know. Hello Giulia, good morning to you. Yes, if anybody from you is from Trento and you think you read this book by Francesco Costa, you think it would be interesting to organize a live event, let me know and I can contact him. Or you can call it, I don't know. He's very lovely. I wrote once an email to him thanking him because his newsletter, every Saturday he sends a newsletter about the US. It's the thing I read on Saturday morning, so I have my mug of coffee, not a cup, it's a mug of coffee, and I just read his newsletter about the US, which I always find very, very interesting. And yes, I think we can start. So, holiday and holiday vocabulary. I divided this lesson into 3 parts. Of course, you will find a blog post. I wrote it, but I will deal with the last correction on Monday morning and then I will post it in the group. But so if you don't feel like writing down what I say, just wait, and on Monday you will have the article on the website with the possibility to download a PDF file and just print it out, so you don't have to write down everything. So, as I was saying, I divided this lesson into 3 parts. The first part, we will speak about hotels. Second part, we will speak about restaurants. And the third part, I thought it would be interesting to find out how, if you're not satisfied with a product or a service, how to express it in an English way. Yes, because Italian people, when we are not happy about something, we tend to be quite passionate about it. And English people, and also American or whatever from my experience, they tend to be a bit more easygoing and a bit more polite. They really have a different way. It's not only about the language, it's about the culture. They really have a different way to express things. So when it comes to hotel, first thing, you want to fare una prenotazione, prenotare. I think this is, you might know these words. You book or you make a reservation. It's the same. So for example, you can enter a hotel. Nowadays we tend to do it through internet a lot of time, or I always do it through internet, to be fairly honest, but I don't know you. So you enter, you say, okay, I booked a room for 3 days, my name is blah, 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 and when you do the check-in, okay? So you book or you make a reservation. Book, like, this is a book, the same. We also have a famous website in Italy, www.booking.com or .it, I don't remember now. Booking, it's also a noun. That can be interesting. So you can say, for example, I don't know, it happened to me this year. I booked an apartment in Puglia, and 10 days before my holidays, my booking was cancelled. My booking as a noun was cancelled. So it's not only a noun, it's not only a verb, it can also be a noun. And yes, then I found another apartment anyway. But yes, my booking was cancelled. You cancel a booking, you make a reservation, you can cancel a reservation as well. That's fine. Then you have the rooms. In a hotel, rooms, you can, if you're traveling alone, you can ask for a single room just for yourself. That's fairly easy. In Italian, it's quite interesting culturally. We have le stanze singole and single rooms, and then we have la matrimoniale. Yes, because in Italy, we tend to think that if 2 people travel together, they are married. So we ask for a matrimoniale. But in English-speaking countries, they don't take that for granted, and you don't go asking for a wedding or a marriage room. You ask for a double room. It is plain and simple, a double room. Then, because of course you ask for a double room or a matrimoniale, but you can be a couple of friends, you can be, yes, lovers but not married, you can be a couple but I'm married, not married, or unmarried. So yes, they don't have this strict thing about being a married couple. That's rather Italian, una matrimoniale. When I was preparing these clouds, I'm like, ah, that's like a cultural interesting aspect. Then you might need to make a reservation for a room with 2 beds. Okay, maybe you are traveling with a friend and you just want 2 single beds. In that case, you need to look out for a twin room or a twin bedded room. Okay, twin in English is gemelli. So yes, it's quite nice. A twin room, twin bedded room, and then you have 2 beds in 1 room. So single room, double room, twin room. That's it. Then one thing I always, well, it wasn't important for me when I was in my 20s. Now that I'm in my 40s, it's super important. I want to have the bathroom. I want to have a bathroom for me. I don't like sharing bathrooms. Of course, if there is no other solution, I share the bathroom, but yes, my adventurous spirit kind of came to an end when I reached 40. Well, a bit before that, to be honest. It's been quite a few years that I don't like sharing bathrooms when I'm traveling. In that case, you ask for a room with an en-suite bathroom. En-suite bathroom. Okay, that is a room with your own personal private bathroom. Yes, and that's, I think those are the most important thing when it comes to hotel, and some useful sentences or words you might need. Of course, if you come up with something else, write me. Then, restaurant. I think the restaurant is one of the most important part of holidays. I love eating. It's food is one of the how do you say, my parameters when I go on holiday is like food, place, people, not necessarily in this order, but food comes fairly on top. Yes. Food, when we speak about the US and the UK, British English, American English, a lot of food, a lot of foods and items on the menu have different words. So, for example, I don't know, le melanzane, I don't know, they can be aubergine or eggplants. Le zucchine, they can be courgette in the UK or zucchinis in the US. So the US is quite easier in that way. But there are loads of vocabulary input as to food that are different between American and British English. So if you want to, we can have a full class about it another time. But for now, I thought about focusing on most general things. So first of all, connected also to the hotel and food, before jumping into the restaurant section, normally when you book a hotel, a room in a hotel, you can ask for pensione completa or mezza pensione, no? I think most of us ask for mezza pensione because during the day you just go around. That would be half board, okay? Full board and half board. Mezza pensione, pensione intera, full and half board. Board, also, you can also find it in some expressions like, I don't know, board and lodging, vitto e alloggio, board. Yes. Then when you go to the restaurant, I'm very lucky. I don't have any allergy. I eat pretty much everything. I prefer avoid meat. Oh, Elena Minor joined us. Hello, Elena. Welcome, welcome. So as I said, I eat pretty much everything. My husband calls me Pac-Man. I don't know if you remember the video game. I was born 1980. And I grew up in the 80s. So yes, if you are my age, I think you can relate. So yes, I eat everything. I don't have problems. I prefer to avoid fish and meats and go vegetarian, vegan when it's possible. But I'm not very strict about it, but yes, a lot of people have some kind of issue with food, and it's important to express it. Okay, so nowadays, more in northern countries, especially, so like yes, UK, the US, Germany, Austria, Scandinavia, whatever, you have a lot of different options on the menu. However, if you need to ask it, the words you want to use is like, I don't know, do you have a vegetarian or a vegan option? If it's not on the menu, you can ask the waiter, do you have a vegetarian, vegan option? Okay, vegetarian, vegan. A lot of people say vegan. No, vegan, vegan. Yes. Another problem that I find quite often is people who are celiac, celiaci. Celiac can be also quite, well, I don't know if dangerous is the right word, but it leads to health problem. It's not just an ethical perspective. So if you cannot find options in the menu, or if you're not sure, you should just tell the waiter, hello, I'm celiac, do you have any gluten-free dish or option? Gluten-free. Liberi dal glutine. Belli, la libertà. Gluten-free. It's, if you wanted to express in English in general, English is a very beautiful language when it comes to creating new expressions. Not as good as German. Germans are the best when it comes to creating new words, but also English people are quite funny. So every time that you want to express an ingredient that is not inside the dish, or that you don't want it, you just put free at the end of it, and it's quite nice because it has a positive connotation. So you can ask for gluten-free beer, gluten-free dishes, gluten-free whatever, but you can also like ask for sugar-free options, for example. I think you can see them on packages at the supermarket for some food, sugar-free option. I think it's quite an interesting way. It's a twist in your mind. You twist it, and it's not senza qualcosa, ma è un qualcosa di libero da qualcos'altro, no? È un po' un'altra connotazione, carino. Vabbè. I'm a language nerd. I get enthusiastic about those small things. Be patient with me. So yes, I'm celiac. Do you have any gluten-free option? Then you can have an intolerance or an allergy. And you can say I'm allergic or I'm intolerant, like in Italian, sono intollerante a, sono allergica a. Or you can have, you can also possess the allergy or the intolerance. So I have an allergy to, or I have an intolerance to. Okay, it's always to, the preposition, and you can be, I don't know, I'm allergic to lactose. I think a lot of people today have some problem in processing dairy. Dairies are all the foods coming from milk, so with lactose. And again, you can say, yes, I have an allergy to lactose, I have an intolerance to lactose, or I am allergic to lactose, or yes, I'm intolerant to lactose. I need lactose-free food. So then, of course, you can ask, is there any lactose in this dish? Do you use milk? Do you use cream? A lot of time in well, in Germany a lot, but also in England, I find that sometimes all the creamy stuff is done with some kind of dairy product. So you might want to ask if you have trouble with that. Then, last but not least, about restaurant, and again, it's not so common in Mediterranean countries, but in Nordic countries it's very much common. When you call in a restaurant, you can also ask if you're a family and you have children, you can ask for a play area. A play area is like a mini playground for children. So normally they can have a garden with a couple of swings, or they can have a corner with some small table thought for children with some games or markers so that they can color. So yes, feel free to ask for a play area. And we have the first questions. Is it correct I suffer of celiac disease, or is it uncommon? So it's correct. It's not grammatically wrong, but I would use that sentence. For example, I don't know, you're celiac. The waiter tells you that you can eat a dish, you eat it. Turns out that it had some gluten. You feel sick. You go to the doctor. Maybe we could also add extra session sometimes for the doctor, because if you feel sick and you're abroad, it's not very nice, and you need, and that's the time when you're anxious and you need to speak. Anyway, you go to the doctor, and if I went to the doctor, I would use this kind of sentence. I suffer from celiac disease. It's a bit more articulated. If you are in the restaurant, you might probably just say, I'm celiac. Do you have gluten-free stuff for me? Yes, but it's correct. It's correct. Common or uncommon? I would need to check that out, because I haven't found myself in that situation at any time. So, but yes, it's correct. You suffer from a disease, so it's very correct. It's very correct. Yes. If you think a lesson about vocabulary for when you're traveling, if you get sick, let me know. Write it down. I'll put it in the poll, in the survey, and then we can do it. Like as I said before, we could also have a lesson about American and British English when it comes to food. If you need to go to the restaurant, just drop a line, which is an idiom. Drop a line to say, yes, write down in the comments, and I'll prepare it. It's really, I really have to thank you, because every time I prepare these kind of classes, which are a bit monologues, I just get so many ideas of things that could be interesting for you, so just write them down. And yes, you're welcome, Federica. My pleasure. My pleasure. So we finished the restaurant part, and now the part about the Italian polemica. I love, we Italians, we do so much polemiche, pretty much about everything, don't we? It's kind of a national sport, and we are really excellent in that. So how to express when you're not happy about a product or a service? Normally, when you want to be a bit formal in Italy, you would say sporgere un reclamo, fare un reclamo. In English, you can lodge a complaint, or you can make a complaint. Okay, lodge a complaint, make a complaint. Lodge is a bit stronger. So when you lodge a complaint, you're really upset, and you really want things to be on record. So written down, I complained, this, and that didn't work, and yes, it's a bit stronger. If you make a complaint, on the other hand, you're more kind of speaking about it, you're more focused on the solution rather than, complaining and taking it off your chest. That's another idiom. In these days, I'm just all an American idiom from reading that book, and I find that they come out also when I speak Italian. So yes, you make a complaint when you're a bit softer, and you lodge a complaint when you want to be a bit stronger. It may be interesting to know the verb lamentarsi is to complain in general. I find it quite funny, because it's a very, I don't know if it's Italian or just people from Trento, but when you ask how are you, a lot of people from here say non mi lamento. Okay, I think a British person would not really say that. They tend to say, it's very interesting, because in the US and in Great Britain, every time you ask, how are you? You're not expected to say really how you are. They just expect you to say fine, standard, and then only if it's a close friend and only if you have more time to speak, you may go into detail about that, but normally they just say fine. In Italy, however, we tend to say bene, ok, non mi lamento, yes, we have a broad range. Anyway, non mi lamento, I can't complain, ok, non posso lamentarmi, I can't complain. Can be useful, not related to holiday, but cultural-wise. So complain, to complain, lamentarsi. Of course, when you are not satisfied about a product or a service, you can ask per un rimborso. So you ask for a refund. Refund e rimborso. Okay. Maybe it could be useful to have some example of sentences. Yes, normally another cultural thing you need to know, in Italy, when we go and make a complaint, we tend to be quite passionate. Sorry, check. Sorry, Julia, I saw now your question. Is there a rule for tips? Going back to the restaurant, is there a rule for tips? Unwritten, yes, unwritten rules. Normally in, I would say Nordic countries, really, because also it's the same in Germany. You leave a tip. You leave a tip. It depends on the countries. I've heard most of the places I visited, they tend to leave a tip of 10%. In the US, it's quite an experience because every waiter has the name, okay, a sign with the name, like Mary, Jennifer, Aaron, Shelley, I don't know. And they are paid really a low salary. So the tip, it's not like they have a good salary, but like a standard salary like we do in Italy, and you can live out of your salary without the tips, and the tips are something extra. Especially in the US, they have a low salary, and they really need the tips to get a decent living. So normally everybody leaves the tip. You don't leave the tip. If you don't leave the tip, it's really just because you absolutely didn't like the service, which is quite impossible. It's quite difficult, at least in the US from my experience, because since their living depends on how good they serve you, waiters and waitresses, they tend to be really nice and really lovely, and sometimes for my taste a bit too much, like, how can I help you today? I just want, a burger. It's not like, but yes, they tend to be very lovely. Thank you for the question. Yes, tips, super important abroad, much more than, and actually you can also check on the other way around. I've been waitressing when I was younger, like at university and before. I started, my first job was as a waiter in a pizzeria, and yes, you could see that Germans, Austrian, US Americans, British, they were all living at tips because it's in the culture. And we're like, wow, they are so rich, they give us money. Because Italian people tend to be quite stingy. Tirchi. Yes. I think the American idiom for that is to have closed fists. Very pugni chiusi. Noi abbiamo il braccino corto, loro sono i pugni chiusi. But yes, I will do another lesson about it. Anyways, yes. Abroad, you do pay a tip. Yes, it's not included in the bill. Going back to complaints. Yes, complaints. They, as I said, another cultural thing, because if you use these sentences, you're traveling, so cultural tips might be interesting. As I said, in Italy, we tend to be quite passionate, and Mediterranean countries in general, I think, when we need to express dissatisfactions about the service, we tend to be very, kind of very fighting, because also in our culture, unfortunately, or at least my experience in Italy, it is that where you really need to complain a lot to get a refund, to get to be listened to, even. Normally, if you don't like something, it's your problem and nobody cares. It's very difficult, I found, or my experience has been quite bad. You're welcome, Julia. My experience has been quite bad with that. I don't know your experience. But in other countries, in all the countries, if you complain about something, they take it very seriously. So there's no need to be so passionate about your complaint. There's no need to insist too much. And normally, what a British person would do, which if of course depends on the situation, you cannot generalize, but averagely speaking, they would go and say something like, I'd like to make a complaint about blah, blah, blah. It's always about something. We would never go and say, direi vorrei fare sporgere un reclamo. We tend to be very upset when we do that. So I'd like to make a complaint about something, or they use very polite expressions like, I don't know, I'm afraid that there's a problem with my room. So I'm afraid, temo che ci sia un problema con la mia stanza. It's very polite. It's not like the first kind of sentence you will get in your thought, is it? Or like, yes, I'm sorry to bother you, but I might have a problem with. Bother means dare fastidio. So I'm sorry to bother you. Mi spiace dare fastidio, arrecare o disturbo, ma yes, it's quite interesting. Another word that they use a lot, and we use it in Italian as well, is misunderstanding. There must be a misunderstanding, but... And of course, it's like in Italian, really, you need to read between the lines. Even in Italian, when we said ci deve essere ci deve essere un fraintendimento, non ci siamo capiti. Yes, sometimes we actually mean it. Sometimes veramente vogliamo dire che non ci siamo capiti, ma ogni tanto vogliamo solo dire in un modo carino, guarda, tu non hai capito una ceppa, adesso ti spiego, però vogliamo essere gentili, guarda, probabilmente non ci siamo capiti. It's the same in English. You say something like, maybe there was a misunderstanding, but what you're actually meaning is, okay, you didn't get what I wanted to say, so let me get it down straight for you. Okay. So, yes, I think this is the end for today's class. Let's review the 3 parts of today's class. First part, it was about the hotel. So you book a room or you make a reservation for a room. Booking is also a noun. My booking was cancelled. When you book a room, you can book a single room with 1 bed, a double room, una matrimoniale, or a twin room, twin bedded room, which is 1 room with 2 beds. If you are like me, you will book a room with an ensuite bathroom. So a room with a private bathroom, ensuite bathroom. Moving on to food. In the hotel, you might make a reservation with full board or half board. Full board means that you have all the food, all the meals included, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Half board, normally you have breakfast and dinner, but lunch you're probably just visiting, sightseeing, so you're around and it's not covered because you are around. That's it. You might have in a restaurant some specific needs, so you might ask if they have some vegetarian or vegan option. You might say, I'm celiac. Do you have any gluten-free dish? You might have an intolerance or an allergy. I was speaking about lactose because it's one of the most common, but if you have any other kind of allergy, disease, intolerance, write me down and I looked it up for you and I write you the answer. As I said, I'm quite a lucky person. So you might say, I have an allergy to lactose, or I have lactose intolerance, Is there any lactose in these dishes? Okay. If you are family and you call the restaurant, family with children, and you call a restaurant, you can ask for a play area. That is a small area where children can play while you're having your dinner or lunch. Then we moved on to explore a little bit how to express when you're not satisfied about a service, and that is, you make a complaint or you lodge a complaint. Lodge a complaint is a bit stronger, make a complaint is a bit softer. Be aware of being polite when you make a complaint in England or Britain or wherever you might be. Abroad it's different. You can make a complaint because the service was not what you expected, and you can ask for a refund of your service. Sorry, I'll finish the review and then I'll get to you, Federica. So you asked for a refund, and then I suggested you 3-4 standard sentences which you can use at any time. So I'd like to make a complaint about, it's always about something, I'd like to make a complaint about, I'm afraid that there is a problem with something, temo che ci sia un problema con, I'm sorry to bother you, but I am having a problem, mi spiace disturbarla, mi spiace darle fastidio, ma ho un problema, blah blah blah. So I'm sorry to bother you. And then a great classic, maybe there was a misunderstanding about blah blah blah, magari non ci siamo capiti. Yes. And Federica writes, I have a gluten intolleranza. Is it correct? Sensibilità al glutine. As a language nerd, I tend to be quite precisetti. I don't know if there is there a difference in Italian between sensibilità al glutine, intolleranza al glutine? If they are pretty much the same, you can say intolerance and it's fine. If there is a difference, please explain it to me so I can, in Italian, so I can understand what the difference is. Because I tend to see it's kind of on a scale. Prima c'è come in gradazione, no? Prima sei intollerante, non è che poi lo diventi anche allergico, però credo che sia, da quanto so, l'intolleranza è un livello, l'allergia è già qualcosa di più pesante, no? La sensibilità al glutine, anch'io non saprei se è more, less, maybe it's a bit, magari c'è la sensibilità al glutine, l'intolleranza e l'allergia, non saprei. If you also don't know or you think it's the same, then just say you are intolerant and it's okay. And it's okay. Nowadays, I think everybody tends to be quite careful with this thing because you never know what can happen if you are intolerant or allergic and you eat that food even by mistake. Consequences can be quite bad. So yes, thank you very much for being with me today. For the people who are here, Federica, Giulia, Elena, and then I don't know if there's somebody else who didn't write in the comment, but thank you for being with me in this lovely Saturday morning. I wish you an amazing weekend full of social life that we don't know if we will have later on during the next month. If you have questions, write them down at any moment. Really. As I said at the very beginning, I will post an article with all those items. So, and I will post it in the comments on Monday, and then in the just in the group so that you can see it. It's a bit highlighted. And from the article on the blog, you will be able to download a PDF with everything. Sometimes, I don't know how to. Yes, sometimes you don't know how to do the spelling of the words, and it's better to have it written down so that there will be everything on the blog. And yes, you're welcome, Federica. I'll see you. And at any time, if you have questions, doubts, or you have a specific desire to learn something about English, be it grammar, be it vocabulary, just let me know and I will think about something. Yes. Good. Thank you again, and I'll see you next month for a new free English lesson. I will post a poll as usual, so you can vote whatever option you prefer, and if you have ideas, write me.